Hello and happy Monday.
Happy Monday, guys.
We are back with Periodization Part 2. We've gotten a lot of feedback from
on the
Part
periodization.
1.
Yeah. I think here's the thing, and maybe, you know what, this is a lesson for Liz and I, that we talk to a lot of our clients about this stuff. But we don't use like these terms. Like we guide them on why they need to eat more, why shortcut, cut periods, quote unquote, fat loss periods can't be long-term. And we implement all of these things, but we're not saying like, you're in a priming phase, because I hate putting labels on things. Like you can't, the reason that this is not as easy, I will say not as easy to apply as just like taking a template and doing some calculations, is because of biofeedback with the body, because your body is unpredictable. There could be things underlying, there could be underlying stress that makes you more sensitive to calorie deficits and, surpluses. So it's not as black and white, but we want to give you like the basis of why this concept is so effective.
Yeah, but it's very, very individualized for every person that we work with. And there are people who have come to us who have maybe had weight loss surgery, or they've gone through a variety of different, very restrictive programs that are adapted and very much adapted. And so for them, that priming phase and reversing them back up, which we're going to be doing a podcast on reverse dieting, why you need to do it sometimes, for them, it's way more than 6 weeks. It might be 6 months or a year before they are able to get back to that place that they should be with their overall intake, because we are battling years of low intake. And it takes time for your body to adjust back up. And so that's why we wanted to do these podcasts as well, because it just gives you all the knowledge and understanding and things for you to consider. We talk to women every single day. I mean, I had a conversation last week, 45 minutes with a lady who has been to multiple coaches. She has talked to, multiple people like in her gym or wherever and in various programs, and no one has ever talked to her about the importance of needing to eat more first, because she's not seeing results eating 1,200 calories every single day. And I was very transparent with her and told her, this is the process that we would be going through, because there is no other option. If you are adapted eating 1,200 calories a day, you have to reverse diet. You have to prime your body and get to a place.
Too much stress on your body.
Way too much stress. And at the end of the day, we think it's kind of common sense when we think about, if what I'm doing right now isn't creating change, I need to do something different in order to create change. Yep. And I think everybody, after listening to us for a long time, knows that eating less than 1,200 calories is not the answer.
No, it's not. And so we're going to give some like time frames that maintenance works really well for people. Like if you're struggling with coming out of a calorie deficit, or you're struggling with seeing weight loss, like, you guys, maintenance is when most of your life should be lived. Like I very specifically know time frames when I go into calorie deficits. I can count on my hand. I mean, yes, I've been through pregnancies and postpartums and stuff like that, but in the past 5 or 6 years, twice I've gone through like a cutting phase. And both of them actually were a certain amount of time after having children. Like I didn't do them otherwise. I was just maintaining and working on building muscle mass, or trying to get stronger, or performance, and my body would change through that. And so I think the first caveat here is like, maintenance is not a time that you will not see results during. Like there's many people that when maintenance is done well, you can continue to see results during, and it's a lot easier to apply and to adhere to, because it's not as restrictive. And so understand that although the quote unquote fat loss phase is like very directed towards putting someone in a calorie deficit to instill physical change, it's not the only time that you're going to see physical change.
Absolutely. Especially if you are coming from this place that you are very low and you reverse up. We have many women who reverse up and they see weight loss and physical change because of the less stress that's on the body. We talked about this in the last, episode. But also, if you've been dieting for 12 to 16 weeks and your biofeedback is suffering and you feel really tired, you're noticing these cravings, like mentally you're struggling, getting yourself back to a place of maintenance, you again might see more change because you're reducing that stress mentally and physically. And when you can shift, I think I said this in one of our recent episodes, but when you can shift from the mindset of, I'm trying to diet. If you're watching on video, I'm air quoting here. I'm trying to diet.
We did the today is the day. So we're filming this ahead of time, but it's today's podcast. So the 23rd of July is the Friday Fire called I'm Trying.
Yep. Okay. But okay. So I'm trying to diet, but then I have these higher days. So I'm kind of swinging all over the place and therefore I'm maintaining and I'm not seeing results and I'm frustrated. Or you can shift into the mindset of maintenance and understand it's summertime. I'm going through a high stress time at work. Like this is just not a season that I want to buckle down and say no to all of these foods or drinks at events, or I can't prioritize getting to the gym 4 or 5 days a week. Then that's another conversation we need to have. But wrapping your head around the fact that if you are in maintenance, you can be happy because you are still holding here. Right. And you're not going the opposite way. So it's one of those things where sometimes we have to have that conversation with clients of like, if you think that you're trying to diet, and most people think they're trying to diet because they're focusing on food, then they get frustrated because they're not seeing any physical change or change on the scale. Well, let's just shift into a place of understanding that this is a maintenance period. Our goal is to continue to nourish your body, eat enough, maintain your weight. Then you're happy with that, right? And it makes it much easier for you and you can be much happier on the journey when you can flip kind of back and forth. And as we said before, you should be living the majority of your life in maintenance. Fat loss phases should only be done maybe twice a year. Yes, it's going to be dependent upon the person, where they're starting, how much weight they have to lose, all of those things.
I would say twice a year is for someone that has a lot of weight that they want to lose and they're like in the beginning of that journey. For people that really are, think that they just have like that 5 to 10 pounds, you should probably be doing them like maybe once a year. And taking that maintenance time, maybe even what we're going to talk about is like a building phase too. But let's talk maintenance in the aspect of you've literally just finished dieting. You've just finished a fat loss phase. Maintenance is the time, we call it like the diet after the diet. And this is what in my opinion, nearly every diet out there, protocol, whether it's, like a template or a meal plan or a 30-day challenge or whatever it is, like a shake protocol, that they miss, that they don't do well, or they don't even mention at all. And so you do this super restrictive thing for, however long it is. We talked to one of our new clients this morning. She was talking about how she's doing a 30-day challenge. And I said, you can continue to take part in the challenge and like implement the things that they're saying, because I think that they're all healthy aspects. But the thing is, after these 30 days, we don't need to end up at the pancake house again and trying to binge because we finished our 30 days. That's the mentality that most people struggle with.
Well, and I want to also include here, she's so funny, by the way. She needs to be like,
she's going to be a fun client,
a stand-up comedian or something. But when we were asking her, because we always go through an intake period with clients where we want to get a good understanding of, what does your day-to-day routine look like? What are you consuming? How many times you're going out to eat? What do those food choices look like? And for her, because she's in this 30-day challenge, everything was very clean. And we were like, wait a second, you wouldn't be coming to us if this is how it was.
It was so many vegetables. It was a really good, because I told her when I first talked to her, she was like, how many calories should I be eating on this challenge? And I was like, well, we're not going to talk for another week, but at least 1,500 to 1,600. I don't know how much you're currently eating, but let's start there.
Yeah.
And I look at the intake and it's like, I don't know if I even eat this much in terms of like whole foods, vegetables, like really quality sources. And she's like, oh no, that's not at all how I was eating 2 weeks ago. And I was like, well, okay.
and she told us, she's like, I straight up went to the pancake house before we weighed in for the challenge. And I was like, yeah, there you go. And so this is the conversation we had with her, is like, we wanted to understand prior to starting that challenge, what did it look like? Because we want to make sure that the work we're doing with her makes it a sustainable approach rather than just a 30-day. And then you swing back to all of your old ways and you go out and treat yourself, which leads into a weekend of binging and overeating and all of these things. So what we have to understand is that when you are finished with a fat loss phase, you need to reverse back up to maintenance. That does not mean flipping the switch. My challenge ends Friday. I weigh in Friday morning and I'm going, YOLO for the next 2 weeks because I've been so restrictive. We need to do this in a smart way. And for some people, when we finish up a fat loss phase, we will reverse them back up over the course of 4 to 6 weeks. Like we want to find that new maintenance place for them, because we want our clients to be eating as much as possible while maintaining their weight. Because when they decide then to go back into a fat loss phase, or they want to go into a building phase, it's much easier because we don't have to cut so low. And with the building phase, the body is already nourished and has enough energy that we don't have to maybe go as high or overshoot as much. So understand that when we're talking about maintenance, this is going to be different for everyone. And I also think that it's important for everyone out there to understand that macro calculators or like TDE calculators, they're not a perfect equation, and there is a range for maintenance for people.
Absolutely. And this is why so many people, I think that they are dieting. They think that they're in a calorie deficit, but they're not losing weight. Like Liz was saying, you probably are having higher intake days. You're probably not in as much of a calorie deficit as you think you are. Tough love here, guys. And two, why a lot of times when we have people eat like, gasp, 16 to 17 or 1800 calories, and we're like, we'd like you eating more. They're like, well, I'm not, if I eat more, I'm going to gain weight. And we're like, well, you're not gaining weight right now. And your body's actually changing in a positive way. So you might actually be in still somewhat of a deficit. People think that like, if I'm not losing weight right now, I can't possibly eat more because then I will gain weight. It's like this black line that exists for everyone. And for everyone, it's like a number. I'm sure everyone in their mind has this number. Like if I eat more than 1400 calories, I'm going to gain weight, but they've never done it well or consistently. And so they think, it's just this like unknown that is out there. And so what we tell people is we want people to eat as much as possible of high quality, unprocessed, really nutrient dense foods and maintain their weight. That is your true maintenance. Like, even though you're maintaining weight eating 1600 calories, you might very well be able to maintain your weight eating 2100 calories. And if you're eating 2100 calories, two things are going to happen. One, you're going to get way more nourishment to your body because more calories of good food means more good coming to your body in terms of antioxidants, vitamins, nutrients. And two, guess what? If you want to go into a fat loss phase again, it's going to be much more effective if you go from 2100 calories to like 1700 versus 1600 to 13 or 1400.
Yeah.
It's much less adaptation that will happen. It is much less damage to the body long term. And so that is why we want our clients eating enough. Like, we get that there's adaptation that happens. We get that over time, the metabolism, yes, it can slow down for various reasons, muscle mass content, hormonal shifts, all of these things. But at the end of the day, we want to be eating as much as possible because then you're getting as much good to your body as possible.
Yeah. So I'm just going to say it bluntly here. If you're eating 1400 calories or you think that you're eating 1400 calories and you're maintaining your weight and you're afraid to eat more, one of two things is happening. One, you are severely adapted and you need to reverse diet. Or two, you are not actually eating 1400 calories because
likely the latter.
Likely the latter. And that's the hard piece for people to admit to, because we know so many women out there who have come to us or that we have talked to in terms of, their goals and what they want to accomplish, that think that they are eating 1400 calories, but then forget about the bites, licks, and taste, or the nighttime snacking, or the glass of wine, or the chocolate, or the time that we went out to eat and we got the burger and fries plus 3 beers. It's like all of those things add up. And so we have to be realistic with ourselves and take a true evaluation of how consistent am I and which side of the sword am I on here? Am I really adapted, or am I not actually eating 1500 or 1500 calories?
Yep. So here's the thing. This is why we need a maintenance period, because after a fat loss period, your body is, we've talked about this before, it is primed for fat gain. And here's why. As you lose weight, your fat cells shrink. Smaller fat cells produce less leptin, which leads to an increased appetite. As leptin decreases, ghrelin, the hunger hormone, increases. The above, paired with some other changes to our shrinking body when we lose weight and shrinking fat cells, creates an environment that promotes fat storage. Okay? So post weight loss, your body basically wants to restore its previous weight. Like, you experience this want in excessive hunger and low energy usually. And the combo makes eating excess calories kind of hard to avoid. If you enter the post-diet phase without a plan, the weight regained is preferentially stored as body fat. Like, usually the weight that people gain back, if you lost weight during a fat loss phase, guess what? Some of it was probably muscle. Just bottom line. It almost always is. And when you gain weight, now you're gaining the same weight back, but now it's all fat. And so this is why we have, it's kind of, there's a term called body fat overshooting. So it's also thought that you can basically increase the number of fat cells you have by gaining weight too quickly. This is called body fat overshooting. This increases the odds that you'll regain more fat than you even lost. So this is why we have to have a plan. This is why we see so many people, one, yo-yo diet and yo-yo with their weight, And 2, the weight comes on faster and faster after each diet, and then it becomes harder and harder to lose because of this reason.
Yeah. And so this is where, as I mentioned before, when we talk about the diet after the diet, sometimes this looks like 4 to 6 weeks when we're reversing someone back up to maintenance, because we essentially want to signal the body slowly that it's okay to eat this many calories and maintain, rather than that body fat overshooting. And this is how we offset those negative adaptations Becca just talked about, because again, your body wants to regain that weight, but you can maintain a lean, strong body if you do it smart, right? And you don't just flip the switch. So what does that look like? Again, you're going to take 4 to 6 weeks. Some people, it might be shorter. Some people, it might be longer. And you're going to slowly increase your calories to that new maintenance intake. So let's, for example, say you've lost 20 pounds. Your new maintenance intake, depending upon your training style, might be lower than where you started.
Absolutely.
Okay. And so this is where we want to ensure that you don't just go back up to 2,500 calories, let's say. Let's slowly work your way up, and let's see how high can we get your calories based upon, you know, your activity, the walking, the training that you're doing, sleep, all of these things. How high can we get you without seeing that scale move up? And as we always caveat in reverse dieting, there might be a slight uptick in the scale from water retention, especially if you're eating more carbs. But we're also looking at body composition. We're looking at how your clothes fit. We're looking at measurements as well, and pictures. So that's very important, because I do think there's a mental component here, both with reverse dieting and with reversing up to maintenance after a diet period. We are afraid that we are going to gain weight.
Totally.
And so sometimes we imagine that we are gaining weight when we are not actually gaining weight.
Yes.
Right. And this can also happen in a strength, or when we start lifting weights. We just talked to one of our clients about that this week. She's like, I feel like I'm gaining muscle in my legs so that it makes me feel like they're fluffier. But
I'm getting I feel
getting
bulky versus lean. And it's like, well, now we're trying to build strength with a decent amount of, like, an adequate amount of calories, compared to before we were doing a little bit more like cardio, high intensity intervals and lighter weights and eating less. And so your body was a little bit more starved, and now you're fed and you're filling muscles, which can, yes, when you're scared of it and when you have this mindset, feel like you're getting bulky.
But her pictures, your muscles look full. She looks strong. She looks leaner, tighter.
It's just like, you guys, it's crazy. I've been through strength building phases. I will say, for someone that has like a disordered eating, a disordered body, body dysmorphia situation, my strength building phase was hard. It was so hard because I was doing a ton of high intensity. I was training CrossFit, and I basically postseason took, 12 to 16 weeks. I didn't do a ton of high intensity training. I didn't do a lot of breathing work, and I did a bench, deadlift, squat cycle, and I was eating a crap ton of food.
Yep.
And I felt fluffy, but I got stronger.
Yep.
And then I dropped body fat, and I was even leaner. I was even stronger. I was even like more muscular. And so it's a hard phase, especially for females to go through.
It is a very hard phase. And so, I mean, we're not even to the bulking season yet. We're just talking about reversing your way back up. But mentally, we're afraid that we're going to regain this weight. And so sometimes we start to think that, like, we look fluffy or our clothes fit differently, but the scale is the same. And, this is such a hard place to be, because we see it on both ends. The scale is the same, but you're changing physique in a good way and you're leaning out, right? Or the scale is the same and you think that you're getting fluffier.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So we have to look at all things considered here. We have to look at your pictures. We have to look at your measurements. We have to look at, how your clothes are fitting. Evaluate, like, are some of these perceptions just mental, or are they reality? What are you doing in the gym? If you are getting stronger, hang on to that. That's one thing that's always helped me anytime that I'm
getting stronger, you're building muscle.
You're building muscle, and hang on to that and grasp onto that. So anyways, what we're saying here is that this can be the hardest phase. And the primary reason is because when people come up to a maintenance intake, sometimes, as we mentioned before, yes, they do it drastic and they just flip the switch, but also we lose food quality. They start to let other things that they put into place in terms of like limitations on going out to eat, or how many sweets they're having, or alcohol, or things like that, lapse. And so, yes, you do slowly start to regain the weight back, because you are maybe controlling calories at that maintenance intake, but you've lost sight of nourishing your body.
Yeah.
And therefore, your body is not utilizing the energy and the nutrients the same as it was when you were very strict. So that's another big thing here. And we do want to just say to those individuals out there who are struggling with this is, no matter what phase that you are in, you need to think about respecting your body with healthy, nourishing foods.
Yep.
Because that is the most important thing when we think about 5, 10, 15 years from now and longevity. Like, this is why we also work with our clients on the fact that this is a lifestyle. This is not a diet. Your fat loss phase is a temporary restriction in calories to inflict a result. We're talking about this being your lifestyle. Whatever fucking phase that you're in, you should be focused on nourishing and respecting your body.
And I think that's the biggest thing that a lot of people struggle with maintenance. It's like, well, I feel like I'm not doing anything. Like, no, there's plenty of things that you can do during maintenance.
You're supporting your
focus
health.
on. What I try to focus on during maintenance is I try to focus on like, okay, how can I get really good sleep? How can I introduce new foods, like new vegetables? Like, I've looked into juicing. I've looked into, different types of ways to get more nutrients to my body, or microbiome mashups. Like, how can we do things that are supporting our health, that are making us feel better, that are still moving the tick forward, but sure, you're not cutting calories. And that's the diet culture, guys. That is the diet mindset that is constantly instilled in everyone. Every female out there is like, if you're not slashing calories, if you're not removing foods group, if you're not restricting yourself and hating your life with food, are you really doing anything positive? Like, no, how could you possibly be if you're not just hating everything that is around like how you feel and what, shaming yourself for eating a bite of a donut? Like, the maintenance period is so necessary. And it's also necessary because, like, this is where I truly believe relationships with food are healed and the mindset stuff gets challenged.
Yep.
Because don't you guys believe us? We work with plenty of women. It's super easy to be told, go restrict yourself. You'll feel better. Like, females feel like that shame and that guilt of restriction. It's like deserved almost. This is hard. Maintenance is hard. Giving yourself grace that like eating more is okay and allowing yourself foods that you enjoy in moderation and finding that balance. Like, if I were to tell anyone to get a coach for anything, it's not weight loss. Weight loss is fucking easy, guys. Weight loss is easy once your body is in the proper place to lose weight. The priming phase and the maintenance phase are hard. Because that is the mindset phase. That is the phase that asks of you to be okay with it. And so the things that happen with the body that are important with the maintenance phase is hormones get back to a healthy place. Things like your thyroid hormone, your leptin, your testosterone, they all start to increase again. Your energy levels and the energy that you burn through NEAT increases again. By eating more food, you're burning more calories through the thermic effect of food. Hunger decreases. And the chronic stress on your system finally dissipates because your system normalizes when you eat enough food and your body gets used to this new weight. Everything starts to feel normal again over time, and your body stops fighting so hard to regain the weight that we caused it to lose. So like, our bodies don't like change, guys. They don't. They don't do well with change. It wants to return to its old normal as quickly as possible. So the maintenance phase it has to allow you to kind of cement a new normal with your body. You have to be patient with it. It is not like, oh, time is, I have to, in 3 months I get to diet again. Like, no, enjoy this phase. This is the phase that should happen pretty much your entire life.
I really don't understand why people want the fat loss phase so much.
Fat loss sucks. I hate fat loss because I'm like, I have to focus on everything that I eat.
I have to weigh and measure
my food. I have to I really want more calories, but I'm trying to cut this is horrible.
Well, okay. And to be fair, this is our job. This is our lifestyle. We've been through this before. And I'm sure both of us at times have, wanted that so bad. So I get it.
And I'm sure I will be there in 6 months. We don't need
to laugh about it at all. But I'm starting a cut in the middle of August. You guys, I'm already dreading it. I'm like, I have to actually spend time weighing out my food now, putting it in containers, putting it in my fitness
You need to start eating more is what you need to do.
Listen, I'm working on it.
Liz has a struggle with eating more. Liz is a very busy body and she doesn't slow down very well. So it leaves very little time to eat.
Yesterday, it was just one of my phone calls went longer than I expected. Yeah. So my lunchtime that I had blocked off got cut off. I will say though, I did increase my carbs yesterday intentionally. I was trying with my granola. I was going to message you and be like, I just can't stop eating these, those sweet potato tater tots. Those things are freaking dangerous.
Yeah, they're good. I like the sweet. I found crinkle cut Alexia fries.
Yes, we had those this weekend.
Oh my gosh. So you guys, fun, really quick intermittent or intermission, Jewel sent me $40 off 150 grocery bills. And so I spent like an hour and a half in Jewel because I normally shop at Meijer or Walmart because they're just closer. And I spent like way more than I should have spent because I'm like, they have all these foods that my other stores don't have.
It reminds me of that, like, the more you shop, the more you save. Shop and save is like from my hometown. And that was their slogan.
Yep.
And I'm like, yeah, but the more you shop, the more you spend. Like, it might be saving, but you're spending more. And I'm happy that you found those foods because both Becca and I at our Meijer, so I live about 40 minutes from Becca. I have a Meijer across the street from my house. She has a Meijer very close to her house. The Alexia sweet potato waffle cut fries, there's always only one bag out at both of our stores. One bag. If a bag, yeah. But it's always only one. I seriously want to ask the manager, like, are you in such high demand for this that you only put one out at a time and then you wait to get the restock replenishment alert when someone purchases it? Because I would like to be buying 2 or 3 at a time. So I'd have to look here every single week. But
I know. Anyways, we digress. Okay.
We digress. Back to maintenance.
Cut phases are not enjoyable. And so I think, again, this comes back, in my opinion, and this is an opinion, this is from anecdotal. There's no literature on this, but in my opinion, people like fat loss phases because it makes them feel like they're doing something. It makes them feel like they're getting the punishment for the poor relationship with food that they have. As awful as that sounds, I truly believe that is the reason, because that's how I felt. Like, I hated my body. I hated my relationship with food. And so by restricting myself more, and honestly, those restrictions turned into huge binges that were miserable, and I hated myself even more after. Those restriction periods felt like I was getting what I deserved. Like, because I have such a miserable situation, this is what I deserve.
And I think this is why after vacations, a night out,
totally,
a binge, or just over consuming foods, people automatically pull back into that, like, I have to either fast.
And why the binges happen and why vacations like that happen. Like, Liz and I both have completely renewed our view on vacations when healing our relationship with food. Like, I don't fear vacation anymore. I don't worry about vacations anymore like I used to, because I'm like, great, a time to relax and enjoy things. Like, I have no fear around my relationship with food anymore. Yes, there's definitely points where, because they're foods that I'm not used to eating, like, I might overeat a little bit because I'm less aware of how those foods make me feel because I don't eat them as frequently. But it's not on purpose like it used to be. It's not I can't wait to go on vacation so I can literally stuff my face until I'm sick to my stomach and then never want to come back because I hate myself so much.
Like, how much can you eat at the all-inclusive?
Absolutely.
Or on the cruise ship?
Or get drunk and then my honeymoon.
I don't know if anybody's been on a cruise ship, but
I've never been on a cruise, and I feel like I don't want to.
Yeah, some people like it, some people don't. I'm kind of over it, but my sister and I went on a cruise, and obviously there was drinks being had, and then you go to your dinner and it's like a 4 or 5 course dinner, and then you have more drinks after because you got the piano bar singing, whatever. And then it leads to this, like, 1 a.m. they have a pizza bar, and the pizza bar is so good on the cruise ships. So good. We would like go to get pizza like every other night on this cruise. It was absolutely ridiculous. Now that would not be happening because I don't feel the need to overconsume the alcohol or overconsume these foods, even if there was a 5-course dinner. And a large part of that is because I don't restrict myself of things that I enjoy at home. I will have things now and then, and I don't feel like I'm controlled by food, like it's calling my name. And I don't have that mindset anymore of like, because it's here, I have to eat it. Like, food doesn't have feelings. We've talked about that before. But yes, I agree with what Becca's saying in terms of evaluating why you go so hard on vacation or why you go so hard on date night or somebody's birthday. 9 times out of 10, it's because of all the other restriction and the ways that you're punishing yourself all the other days of the week. Yep. And if you can just get consistent and stop doing those things, 1, your relationship with food will improve, but 2, you will see that the scale is not swinging around all over the place. That's the best thing for me now is I can go on vacation, I can enjoy food, I can have some drinks, and I come home and I'm the same weight because I didn't feel the need to go eat 5,000 calories every day on vacation.
Starve myself leading into the vacation. Like, maybe I did a smart cut and then teared off of that a little bit. But you guys, this is what we work with our clients on. Like, I don't want people to fear these things. And so when should maintenance happen? Like, if you're really struggling with coming out of a cut phase, or maybe you're like trying to do a cut phase right and it's just not working well. Sometimes that maintenance is really, really important in our opinion, or sometimes that cuts are not a good idea. Let's say that. High stress times. If you are dealing with like, you have a seasonal job and you're in a really stressful time of work, like maybe not the best time to try to cut calories. If you are, newly postpartum, maybe not the best time to cut calories.
Oh God, please, can we stop with the bounce back?
Don't worry. I will share I'm planning on sharing my journey postpartum because it's going to be very different than my first one. Because the first postpartum is what led me into my adrenal issues. They were my trigger. I think it was definitely the needle that broke the haystack type thing. But anyways, those are not great times, like if you are going through a divorce or like dealing with major relationship issues, not a great time. Also, summertime. Let's be honest, guys. We're in summer right now. We work with a lot of clients. There's a lot of people that have wanted to try cut phases, and because their body has appeared ready, we've worked on it. And it's not a great time for them. They're realizing like it's really hard to, say no to things that you want to enjoy. And we agree with that. Like summertime is a hard time to go through a fat loss phase because there's just more going on. You want to go out to dinner. You want to sit on the patio. You want to have drinks with your friends on the weekends. Like those things, you should be able to maintain your weight during if you're doing them well and if you're doing them correctly. Sure, I don't think you're going to maintain if you're just binging every weekend, but summertime is not a great time to do a fat loss phase. So stop running yourself into a brick wall of resistance and rather just enjoy it. Because what I see a lot of, to be honest, is like people try to restrict during summer, then they have these events, they have binges, they have these overconsumptions, and they end up gaining weight by the end of the summer.
Yeah.
Because that ups and downs is not good for the body. It's not good for the metabolism. It's not good for blood sugar. Like those big ups and downs is what causes weight gain. Hence what we just talked about with the body fat overshooting and the priming for fat gain. Like that is why the holidays, again, not a great time to do these things. So take the pressure off of yourself trying to lose weight and instead lean into the maintenance. Maintenance is beautiful.